Alright, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to the Chupacabra's lair. I'm your host, Larry the Chupacabra, and we are going to check out some Defenders of Time today. I've actually had this game installed for a while now, and I originally picked this game up because my buddy down here is just under my name in the PvP rankings, Mr. Triad Ninja. He, for a while, was doing game reviews on an online gaming site out of Kentucky, and he sent me a copy because we were thinking about checking out the multiplayer for this game, but that never ended up working. It was a little fiddly when it first came out, but Defenders of Time is a tower defense game, sort of kind of retro. I don't know if you can see very well the towers in the background here, but they all look like old, like, 50s through 70s model cars and, like, sci-fi lasers and stuff. Sort of what you would imagine coming out of the Fallout series. So we're gonna jump in here today and play just a random map and talk about it and chitter-chatter. This is kinda like a review video, kinda not. We're just gonna relax today and see what it's all about. Oh, and here in the loading screen, you can actually see some of the concept art models. So, we're inside Defenders of Time, and I don't necessarily know how much story this game actually has. There's not like a dedicated campaign mode. There's just like, play solo or play with your friends or play like in a ranked multiplayer setting. But we're in some sort of dimensional bubble, floating out in the depths of space, and we have to defend Babylon in this map with all of its crazy electrified tree roots and stuff. We have to defend this bad boy against these weird dimensional tears in space and time that aliens are gonna come through and murder everybody. And we don't really want to let that happen, I suppose. I mean, letting people get murdered is usually considered a bad thing, but, you know, whatever. How do I... You know, I think I messed this up. Let's resell some of these towers. I want to try and maze up in a little different way than I was before. So, I'm gonna try and force people to come through this direction. So let's build out from our Nexus. Our Nexus is like this old school light bulb that looks like it's got pieces of Earth inside of it. Like Nikola Tesla discovered pan-dimensional time travel. And we gotta stop him or something, because he's crazy. Nikola Tesla was a pretty crazy guy, you gotta admit. Man was a little bonkers in the brain parts. So we're going to... Let's maze where this tower is. Let's have him come in through there. So we're going to maze up kinda like this. It's a little janky, but if stuff gets this far into our defense, we're pretty much boned regardless. So yeah, then we'll bring him back along this pond. And my thought process here is, one of the things that this game isn't very good at is it doesn't really tell you where flying units are gonna come from, like your standard classic tower defense game. So you're pretty much on your own, trying to defend against them, which is what I'm preparing to do right now. So let's send in the first waves. They're going to be, these little runner dudes or something. Yep, they look like, weird, mammal, non-bird, ostriches? Like an ostrich mixed with, like, a hippopotamus or something. Again, I don't know why these guys really want to touch our jibs. They clearly are just predatory monsters from beyond the third realm of Rivos. But, you know, whatever. So, Defenders of Time is the latest title from the Four Lights studio. And I don't really know if they're most notable for anything in particular. I haven't heard of them before, and they certainly don't have a lot of other games on Steam. They have a game called Temporal Shift, though. Not really certain what that bad mamma jamma is. It looks like another version of Defenders of Time. Yeah, that's about it. So, oh, we're starting to get specialty mobs in here. So we need to start upgrading some of our turrets into lightning shock turrets. In basic single-player mode, the upgrades for these turrets, you kind of just get them as you go, but normally in multiplayer game mode, you can level them up by clicking down here on these little colored icons, so that you can kind of spec your tower deployment however you like. Which I guess is kind of neat. Kind of weird, but you know, whatevs. And then we're just going to, dang it with the insufficient monies, sons of bitches, but this goes pretty well. It's okay paced, but there are some towers in Defenders of Time that I honestly couldn't tell you what the hell you're supposed to do with them, or why you'd even want that game mechanic. Because I'm a veteran of tower defense style gameplay. I enjoy a great many tower defense games, but this one, it feels like they've thrown a lot of stuff together with the intent of building from multiplayer to single player, and it kind of gets weird really, really fast. That's the best way to put it, I suppose. Let's build a couple more. Oh yeah, we have the tower unlocked that I wanted to chat about. So we can build this tower called an Aegis Sentinel, and it handles stealth and out-of-phase enemies. Like, some enemies, they're like temporarily out of sync, and you can't shoot them like a ghost. And they just kind of show up at random whenever I play this game. I couldn't necessarily tell you if there was a rhyme or reason behind that. And it got really, really annoying really fast. I will be completely honest with you guys. It pissed me right off. Because they just kind of show up, and I just don't understand why. They're just there, they're annoying, what are you gonna do about it? And we're almost to the point where stuff is starting to sneak past us, so we need to progressively upgrade our towers and increase the amount of mazing that happens. So I like the fact that you can make a proper maze in this game. That is one of the upsides to the gameplay. The downside is, it doesn't really matter, because eventually we're gonna get flyers. I don't know when. We have splitting units right now, these raptor-looking bad boys. I think these are the ones that split into multiple smaller raptors. Or maybe it's these guys, these dino dogs. But eventually we get flyers, and I don't know if you can see right now, but there's no blue paths that indicate where the flyers are eventually gonna show up, and that kinda sucks. Just a little bit. So let's get some more AoE here, because we're getting a few bad boys. Oh, we got a few that broke through the barricade. But we finally got our Calvin Zephyr towers. And those are, as I'm sure you could probably imagine, blue towers equal slowing towers. Which is a deliciously good thing to have on hand when you've got a boatload of fast-traveling monstrosities that want to eat your face. So I'm gonna block this off here. And, how can I force you guys to zip up and around? I don't know that I can. I think having a couple branching paths that everything is forced through is probably a good idea here. So let's block this side off, and let's make it come through here, so that it has to go through a whole nother channel of murder before it can say hello to Larry. That sounds like a perfectly reasonable plan, if I do say so myself. Although more crap is getting through. Oh, there's big mamma jammas getting through, that's not good. How can I stem the tide here? Maybe with some more of these tracer marksmen. These tracer marksmen are kind of like a magnum gun, is how the game kind of portrays them, these black ones. And they're supposed to be super duper good for murdering big, heavy monstrosities. Although we're having a bit of trouble with that. Not sure what to do about that. They just kind of throw big, nasty stuff at you. And I couldn't necessarily tell you right off the bat. Okay, looks like these red towers are what I want to deal with the big meaty guys. They do a lot of damage to the extra armored bad boys. This one fires crazy missiles. But again, even with these, I don't necessarily know, what is that? This thing's got a big, tall range. Why isn't it shooting anything? That's annoying. Alright. We're running low on, points that we can spare for stuff murdering us. But we lasted okay. Wave 13 is when I usually start having some trouble. I usually have to do some extra mazing in order to... Oh, see, it did fire. It just has a really slow attack. It's a really slow bad boy. But yeah, I feel like there's a lot of towers in this game, but they don't all necessarily feel like they have a good purpose to them. They throw a lot of really nasty stuff at you really fast, and I feel like it would be nice in this game if they offered you some alternate types of game modes where you could go a little slower, because fast-paced stuff is good for multiplayer, but when you're just learning the game, they really don't have much of a learning curve. There's seemingly no rhyme or reason why stuff starts to appear when it does, so yeah. I guess we can try Area 51. This is gonna be a trickier map, just because it doesn't feature, like, one specific way that is really easy to cordon off. Like, there's these really big open stretches, and it's hard to figure out how to contain these bad boys. And there's two, defensive nodes that we gotta protect. Two weird ziggly-wiggly light bulbs. So I'm probably going to make like a kill square, where I kind of mish everything together in one AoE nightmare in order to keep everything dead. So how can I best attain that? Probably like this. This seems like a decent plan. I can force stuff to zigzag around the edges, and then force them through a gauntlet from hell, which is my favorite kind of gauntlet. Oh, we're out of money already. Let's see what happens. So, I think Defenders of Time, it has all, like, the bits of a decent tower defense game. It's got all sorts of varieties of towers, poison towers, fire towers, AoE towers, single target blasting towers that just shred through enemies. But it lacks a campaign mode, which makes it kinda hard to really get into the swing of things and learn in a very tight, controlled environment, but they do have a marginally okay set of tutorials, so it's not too bad, but it certainly... it doesn't wow me either, you know? But it's to each their own. And this is one of those games where, if I remember from the few bits of multiplayer I managed to play when the game first came out, you basically determine what enemies get sent against your opponent next, so you can kind of look like, oh, they built a bunch of towers to deal with these fast little guys, but I bet he can probably not, he or she won't be able to manage a bunch of really heavy, high health enemies. So you can start to be a sneaky little monstrosity on the battlefield, which I guess is neat. It certainly kept me busy, although I didn't really find the multiplayer all that challenging, because the people on the lower brackets, if you're a really hardcore tower defense player, they tended to be as poorly educated on what to do when as I was. So, you know, whatever. Oh, shit, I already have stuff getting through, of course. But of course, what would be the fun in that if it worked out perfectly the first time? It's also a game I feel like you need like a dedicated strategy for every map. Because a lot of these maps feel kinda samey, and it would be nice if they had like a story to lead you through. Something to get you started a little better. Let's put in a couple poison towers, a couple more AoE towers, that should be nice. I think we're managing okay to kind of bottle stuff up now. I'll bet we could probably force stuff all the way around now, if we try. Let's see if we can't get some more stuff to help deal with the sheer numbers that we're starting to get. A few are getting through now. mostly on the right side, which is odd. You'd think they'd get through more on every side? Huh, I wonder why. It's not like I have a super load more towers on the opposite end, but who knows? Who the flip knows, Timmy? Let's see, we could probably use a few more AoE turrets and fire turrets. That might help us tremendously. Getting just a couple guys that don't have a lot of health getting through on this side. I wonder... Alright, well anyway. So this is Defenders of Time. It's not super in-depth, it's not super high detailed, like you zoom in and you can see like there's some lower res textures. But it performs pretty well. I like the really like down, up close details on these towers. But I don't know, this game just doesn't hook me in any particular way. It just kind of feels like generic tower defense game number 37 that you can play for free on like Newgrounds, like a Flash tower defense game. It's not super complex, it's not super difficult, it just kinda is there. So, I mean, how much is it? It was... let me look. Tower defense, it was... what is it? Well, it doesn't necessarily tell me because... I think it's like 10 bucks. Yeah, it looks like... this is a $10 game, and they've got a new early access title out called Temporal Shift. So I guess that's why they don't let you purchase Defenders of Time anymore, except from on their website. And it looks like they're actually trying to, with the new game, actually add some story, some different game mechanics to kind of explain the world that you live in. Huh. It's weird that they wouldn't just convert your existing Defenders of Time keys into Temporal Shift. That's really weird. I don't know. And I also got like a warning sign from their website when I tried to log in, like I was gonna get a virus or something. So whatever that's about, I don't even. So maybe be careful going to their website because Chrome just freaked out, but they're on Steam if this is the type of game you're looking for. They got a $10 early access title that they're trying to improve upon their original Defenders of Time game, but it's not getting the best... oh, it's only got one review, so never mind. So check them out if you're interested. But, you know, whatever. It's an okay tower defense game. It's not super expensive, but I don't know. It just doesn't do it. It just kind of feels there. It feels like you could have about as much fun with a free tower defense Flash game, so, you know, whatever. Anyway, I've been your host, Larry the Chupacabra, everybody. Thanks for joining me for this shenanigans-filled playthrough. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Links are in the description if you want to check this game, and it's that other game, Temporal Shift, which is basically the same thing, out on Steam, and I'll catch you next time. Toodaloo, everybody. Oh, so here comes the random flyers that just kind of fly over everything, seemingly without rhyme or reason. I don't know what to say about that. So, bye, everybody.